Okay, Brandon, we are live. Welcome back to episode 2 of where we ramble and talk to people for 15 minutes. What do you think about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
We got a cool one for you today. Brandon has been working on kind of a cheat sheet for himself, and I'm going to let him talk about it. And then we've got a couple other the leaders here at JD's. They're going to be coming in to join us here in just a few minutes. But Brandon, if you want to talk a little about today's episode.
Well, it was just some thoughts that we put together based on it's kind of an educational thing, really. I think a lot of times, and we're guilty too, right? It's just terminology, right? How you kind of a play on words when you say like a state sale, a state auction. They're really different things. And I don't think, and even for myself, I've caught myself just saying, oh, we're having an estate sale. But it's not really, we are, but it's different. Like, so there's a difference between, and I guess I wanted to understand about and be able to tell people, right, about what's the difference. So everything is not an estate sale. We have auction, which is it's different. A lot of similarities, but not the same thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And a lot of people, they don't really know the difference, right? Is
Right.
that fair? Like they
Yeah,
don't
absolutely. There's people call us all the time and they say, hey, we're looking at having a estate sale.
Yeah.
Have which is fine. We can help with that scenario, but we really have to sit down and talk with them and explain, yes, we can absolutely help you with this. We have those services, but we also provide so much more.
Well, Brandon, why don't we bring in Ryan George? Ryan, he has been with JD's
Ryan
now.
is the man.
There he is. And Ryan, he has conducted quite a few assessments. And we've got Amber. She's in the background, by the way. She's modding for us, and she'll be able to let us know if you got any questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type them out. We can see them in real time, and Amber can help us with those questions and make sure that we see them so we can answer them. Today, again, we got about 15 minutes, and we got Maggie. She's going to be joining us here in a few minutes, and she's the estate sale queen. But Ryan, what's your take on just overarching as you think about estate sale, in-person? Listen, I need to say something before we get too far into this. We all have really good friends that are in the estate sale business.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is not a play on us to say that the estate sale business is bad. Listen, there's a place for it. Today, it's just about talking about kind of the differences and how one might be better for the than the other. So we got great people. We got Seven Seas. We've got Blue Moon. We've got some really good friends that are in the business, and yes, we work together on projects. So just want to make that super clear in the beginning before we get started. But Ryan, tell them what kind of some ideas, some of the things that you think.
Well, and I can kind of piggyback off of what you said. We do have some great friends in the estate sale business, and I talk to people all the time. And I say, man, estate sales they've been working for a long time. I mean, they have been doing the trick, and I think when you talk to people about an estate sale, an estate auction, Brandon, what you're talking about, a lot of those terms are interchangeable for folks, but at the end of the day, there are several differences between the two. And, I think each individual's scenario is different. And so what might work best for one person may not necessarily work best for someone else. And so I think it's just important, and I think is the main purpose of what we're doing here today is informing the public of what is the difference, the main differences between an estate sale and an estate auction. And so I know we'll go over a few of those here, and I don't know. Are we going off? Are we getting ready to start and tell just a few differences?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'd like to do real quick is probably the person that may have the most experience at estate sales. And listen, I've been to my fair share. I went to one this morning actually. Is Maggie Johnson. If you guys don't know Maggie, she's one of the leaders. She runs our Southern Group office. Amber, she'll bring her on stage here probably in just a second. And I'd like to hear from Maggie of maybe just some experiences that she has with going to estate sales and kind of what that's like.
So, hi. And to correction, I'm over the Northern Group, not the Southern Group.
Oh, I said Southern. I'm sorry. Northern. I meant Northern.
Okay. It's all right. No, so with estate sales, you have to get there super early. I'm talking like 7, 8, sometimes 6 a.m. just to be able to make sure that you get the item that you want. So you've got a lot of Some places you have to wait in line. Other places as soon as you can get in the door, you got to get in the door. So it can be a little chaotic, but it is a lot of fun. I've done several estate sales where I've gone and tried to get the item that I want. Very few times do I get the item that I want, which is why I prefer estate auctions, because as long as I've got my wallet, I can probably get the item I want instead of having to race somebody to get to it first. So that's one of my main things.
Yeah. And it's, and at the end of the day, like there's different reasons to sell things. And most people, what I've found over the years, they want a fair price, but they also are kind of happy when a collector gets it, or someone they know is going to take care of it. And that's why I know you go to a lot of estate sales and you're looking for specific items. But it's a challenge sometimes, right? One of the things that I have learned that we try to do at JD's is manage the expectations of the neighbors as well and the feelings of the neighbors, right? And it's kind of a big deal when suddenly in neighborhoods you go from just cars going to and from work and the grocery store to when you have a sale and it's time to liquidate everything. There's a million vehicles that has suddenly went into the neighborhood, right? Yeah. And in some cases, like the one that Ryan just did, it's a 1-lane road going into the neighborhood. So you got to be really careful about that. And that's why we try to manage that. And the estate sale companies have done pretty good about being able to manage that as well by doing time slots and tickets and some of those things. But Brandon, you've put together a chart, right? You put together a kind of a I don't want to call it versus, but it's a little bit between the difference between an in-person versus an online auction. Amber, when you get a second, can you bring that up and let's see if we can kind of work through that. I like those. It's maybe a little bit difficult to see if you're watching on a phone. You may have to zoom in some. Brandon, you want to kind of work through that chart a little bit?
Yeah, I'll just go through them real quick. Just some differences there, just for some comparisons, if you're thinking about having an estate sale, and it helps us for our team too, for us to sit down and talk with folks. But one of the top thing on the list was items for like estate sale. They're typically offered, they have predetermined prices versus if you're having an online estate auction. It's an auction, right? So the bidding of the competition usually can maximize price potential. And back to what Maggie was talking about, it's about the transparency too. If you got that one item you're trying to get, like she said, hey, if I've got the money to buy it and I'm still comfortable with the price what I'm willing to pay, I'm in at fair game just as much as anybody else is. So it just kind of eliminates some of the headache and the, congestion to pick up and things like that. The next thing was limited viewing and shopping hours. A lot of times, and it varies too, because every situation is different, every home's different. It depends. There's so many factors can come into play, but it could be a situation with an estate sale where you're only allowed in the house or on the property for so many hours, so many days. You got limited visibility to the products or the items, to where with the online estate auction, typically with ours, we normally try to run them 7 to 10-ish days, around 10 days. It's just depending on the calendar. But during that period, say if it is 10 days, you can be 24 hours because it's online. So you have access from the time it starts to the time it ends. So you're not necessarily worried about having to get off work in time to go see an item or, what have you. I'll skip down the list here just a little bit. Let me hit a couple of these. Let's see. Marketing exposure. So that's huge. So it's hard with a typical estate sale, especially like, if you're just having one on a property and you don't really have an opportunity to really get those items online and get them advertised. With an online estate auction, it's an online auction, right? So our teams spend a lot of time, and they'll put in a lot of work. They try to do a really good job getting photographs, information, measurements, basically any information you would need to know if you're looking at an item online, what you're looking at. Pictures are very important. So a lot of time spent on that. So a little more exposure, I guess, on that side. Marketing side, being able to advertise, social media platforms and things like that. So could be a benefit to a seller. Yeah. You just get your items in front of a bigger audience.
Yeah. And listen, guys, we've got about 5 minutes left, and we're going to go through each of you, kind of your top 2 things that's, as you're making decisions with clients and you're talking to clients about it. I want to hear that here in a minute. I want to talk about mine real quick. I guess I'll lead us here. The first one is the shipping thing. Estate sales, in-person estate sales are great when you know that the buying population is going to be there locally, right? Maybe within a 30-mile radius. And of course, our marketing director is on here with us. She's she's moderating the broadcast, and for her, when she does marketing, a lot of times it's not just in a 30-mile radius, right? It's the entire state, or it might be the entire Southeast. So with an in-person estate sale, it's a great way to get the home empty pretty quick to local people, right? But with an online auction, we have partnered with a company called Liberty Pack and Ship. They're actually in our same building. So our teams can bring items, maybe the 14 karat gold pieces, right? Maybe the gold pieces, maybe the smaller collections, baseball cards. We like to say items that are smaller than a bread box. We can get to Liberty Pack and Ship, and then they will get that out the door to someone in California, et cetera. So that's one of mine. Ryan, and by the way, I feel like I need a sound effect for that, so we're going to do a little.
Where's it at?
Ryan, you're up.
One thing that I tend to notice a difference between the sale and an auction. Our friends who do estate sales are some of the most knowledgeable people in this space, and when you go to an estate sale, there's a price tag on those items. Therefore, they have valued those items at such and such price, whatever and they know a lot. In an auction, obviously, we don't do that. The item goes to the highest bidder. And so I was talking to a person recently who purchased an item at an estate sale that was marked pretty inexpensively. And that item was worth a considerable amount of money, and they made money on that item. Now, that's right. So the thing is that the person who put the price tag on there thought they were doing the right thing, and but you can't be. They're not perfect. None of us are. But in an auction, if we have an item out there, now you're hoping that none of the other 200 to 300 registered bidders don't also notice that one item has a ton of value. And those odds are very low. Somebody else is going to notice that, and they're going to give you a run for your money. And so I think it's kind of just decreasing the odds as to whether or not you're going to actually get the full potential value of that item.
It's good. Yeah. Maggie?
I would love to piggyback off what Ryan just said. There are also times, which you don't get to see this in estate sales, but you do get to see it in auctions, where somebody will see an item that they had as a child. It's not necessarily worth a lot, but they're willing to pay a lot because grandma had it or mom had it. And so, when you get people like that in a room together, the price just goes up. Like, I've had plenty of clients tell me, I didn't think that was worth it. Well, when we talk to the buyer, they're like, my grandmother had that, and I haven't been able to find one. And so I was willing to pay a lot more for it. So you have things like that happen that don't typically happen in an estate sale. Yeah. Also, when I'm talking to potential clients, my two things that I hit on are, especially in an HOA, an estate sale, that kind of doesn't work for them the way it does in other communities. For an HOA, an estate sale auction works a lot better because we can kind of alleviate. Our times are like, oh, you can pick up from 12 to 1 or 1 to 2. So we don't have a bunch of vehicles. So sometimes that's a lot better for our clients. And then when I'm talking to them, I always tell them, estate sales are local. Some people will come a couple hours away for certain items, but like we're able to get in California and Washington and New York to collectors. And so we tend to do better in that way than estate sales do because they're more local.
Yeah. No, that's good. And Brandon, I'm coming to you next. You're probably gonna get the last word here, but before, I would be remiss if I didn't mention we're going to do a 12-part series coming up soon on there's 12 exemptions in Tennessee for individuals who conduct sales to not have an auctioneer's license. We'll talk about those, but there are companies that are right now that are doing online what they call auctions, but they have an exemption. For example, there's a static end time. It's kind of like an eBay sale, right, Brandon? So, if you have an item up and it's going to end at 12, it ends at 12. So there's no extensions on the bidding. So as a buyer, it's a pretty neat, it's a pretty good way to do it because at 12, you have an opportunity to snipe it. As a seller, it might not be your best option. You may want to continue to have competitive bidding throughout the process, but we'll talk about some of those. So understand online auctions are not all the same, right? We've talked about that in some of the other episodes, but we'll do deep dives in those series next. Brandon, I think we're getting close to the 15-minute. We're just a little over, but you get the last go there. You put this together. Any other final thoughts on kind of the differences and when you're sitting with a family at the dining room table, as you start your recommendations, what does that look like?
Well, I've said this before. Every situation is different. I always ask each client what the win is for them. And probably one of the things I hear the most or what they like the most of the clients that we've been privileged to work with, and we have some amazing clients, is the fact that just less congestion in the house, not having everybody coming through, because in a situation where maybe someone's passed away or something like that, like it could be bad circumstances, right? Just kind of keeping the, respecting the home, keeping the peace in the home, a lot of people in. And when we say, hey, our team can come in, spend a few days here, get everything cataloged and done, schedule that pickup, kind of coordinate that. And it's just kind of a very smooth, seamless process. And they really seem to like that. So that's something I hear a lot.
Well, Brandon, thanks for putting this together. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't know how difficult it is to try to get these three together at the same time. Amber's our moderator. It's tough to get her together. You've got 5 of us together at once. This is going to get posted on our channels. Feel free to ask questions. We will individually go back and provide responses. Again, we're going to do at least one of these a week. If you missed last week's, go to YouTube, go to JD's Auctions YouTube channel. There you'll be able to see it every week. Expect something. If you have something you want us to talk about, shoot us a message. Hop on our Facebook. Give us a message. Say, hey, guys, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on name it. Give us an idea.
Hey, Jason, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I get told a lot of times, I get comments about my hair. I'm going to pass that to Ryan today. Check him out, man. He's got the best looking hair. He's rocking it today.
That's a fresh cut.
Yes, sir.
Bring that in. Let's see. Let's see if we can do this.
Thank you. You guys have a good day. Let us know how we can help you.
Have a good day, guys. We'll see you.